Season 9 of Night School is presented by the AQHA. Quarter horse racing returns to Sam Houston this weekend with the Sam Houston Derby and Sam Houston Futurity Trials. Keeneland live racing runs through April 26th. Woodbine. Catch live standardbred racing at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Thoroughbred opening day at Woodbine, April 20th. Remington Park. Live quarter horse racing Thursday through Sunday. And Express Bet, home of the $25,000 Preakness Big Bet Sweepstakes.
Horses have off days, and by looking at them before they actually get on the racetrack, you get an initial impression of which way they're leaning.
This is going to sound crazy, but for me, it's intellectual stimulation.
Class is now in session. It's time for Night School. Here are your hosts.
Welcome to Night School 2019. We are in session. It's season 9. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now, joined by the GM of Horse Player Now, Brian W. Spencer. Tonight, we open the menu, not at your favorite restaurant, but in the wagering world. Brian, the betting menu, our topic on this edition of Night School.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about handicapping and the creative process in picking a winner, but once you pick that winner, you've still got to be able to make money on that winner, and that's where the betting menu comes in. I think that especially with the proliferation of a lot of types of wagers, you can do pretty much anything at the racetrack, and I don't necessarily think there's a right or wrong way to approach any of it, but this is kind of what we're going over this menu for, to give an overview of everything that's available at the racetrack so that you can kind of start to find your way and your specific place on the wagering menu where you feel the most comfortable.
There is a bet for everyone. If you want to bet a lot to make a little, there are wagers for that. If you want to bet a little to try to make a lot with higher risk, there are bets for that. And one of the great things about parimutuel betting and betting the horses is that the risk you incur most times is in your probability. You don't necessarily incur risk of expense, in that you don't need to outlay a tremendous amount of money to make a big score. You can bet $2, $3, $4, $5 and bring in $1,000 score. It's possible to do it. Where your risk comes in is your probability. The probability of that happening is very low, but you're only risking probability in a lot of these cases, so there are bets for everybody. I always tell people when we get into any of our handicapping seminars, online or face-to-face that we've done over the past decade, bet to your personality. What kind of person are you? Are you a conservative person where losing a couple bucks today is going to upset you? Or are you a risk taker where if you don't make a big chunk of money today, you're going to be disappointed with the experience. I mean, if you bet $20 and come home with 40, is that going to excite you? Is that going to impress you? Or is that going to bore you? Bet to your personality. The key is there is a wager for every personality type in this game, and we're going to go through those over the course of this Night School edition, all the way through the traditional win, place, and show to the rock and roller, high rolling pick sixes. So we're going to take a look at each of the wagering types individually, give you a set of what they are by definition if you're newer to the game, and if you have some experience in playing the races, we'll also give you some of our approaches to when and when not to attack each of the different wagering types. Let's start with the basics. This goes back to the beginning of time. They probably bet on these wagers in chariot races, Brian, but the win, place, and show, it's my horse is faster than your horse. The winner is simply the horse who crosses the finish line first. If you bet to place, they have to finish first or second. And if you bet to show, it's the easiest wager at the track in terms of probability of hitting. Your horse only has to finish first, second, or third in a show bet. These are what we call the straight bets on one single individual horse, win, place, or show. Let's start with the win, Brian. When do you apply your win wagers?
And these win, place, and show, they're kind of the timeless classic bets because only one thing has to go right. You decide the horse needs to win, great. If it wins, you get paid. Nothing else has to happen for you to be able to score on that. And I think that these are bets that, a win bet is great when you just have a horse who's, a square price. That can be 3-1. It can be 4-1. There's nothing wrong with getting back 5 times your money in a matter of 2 minutes. So I think that, is just, if you really like one specific horse in a race, go for it. And also, when we get into the more complicated wagers, the doubles, the pick 3s, pick 4s, and so on, always remember to use those win, place, and show bets as potential backups in case your key horses do win, but you don't connect in the other legs.
Handicapping can take a lifetime of experience to learn all the nuances. And when people talk about horse racing being a difficult game with a high learning curve, I think that's the handicapping side of it. On the bet menu side of things and teaching people how to bet, our experience in our seminars, you could teach a person the different kind of bets and how to bet very simply in 10, 15 minutes. And that's what we're going to do throughout the course of this podcast. For me, a win bet is the most solid wager still in the game. I have an opinion on a horse, and I'm getting what I consider to be a fair price. I will not bet a horse under 2-1 odds to win. I'll get into some of the other wagers where the alternatives are if I like a horse who is less than 2-1 odds. But why that is my threshold is 2-1 basically means you bet $2 to win, you get $6 back. You've got to win 33% of the time to break even on a win bet with horses who are 2-1. Most top handicappers, public handicappers with their published picks are going to be somewhere between 25 and 33%, very rarely above that, and that's picking all the races. It's difficult to win more than 33% of your straight win bets and opinions. So for me, I think 2-1 is the bottom threshold that I'll take. Some other folks will argue that a horse who should be even money, but you're getting, say, 7-5 or 8-5 is a good value bet and you should still go ahead and win. I personally don't feel that I'm strong enough as a handicapper to deliver 50, 60% of the time like I would need to with the lower priced horses. So I'm going to stick to 2-1 or more on my win bets. As far as place and show go, those are conservative bets and backup bets for newcomers to the game. Not a lot of serious and dedicated and steady horse players get too deep into the place and show pools, especially into the show pool. One thing about place wagering that I've noticed and I've been enlightening to in recent years, I was a win place bettor for a long time, but to me, the place bet can be substituted with another wager, which is in the exacta, where you want your horse to finish second in a race. I think you move to the exactas, and instead of playing your horse to place, play them second in the exactas behind some other runners. What are the exactas? Well, the exactas are the first of the exotic wagers. The exotic wagers were created more in the 1970s in that area and became more popular in the 80s and really proliferated horse racing in 1990s. These are wagers that involve more than one horse, the exotic bets, the multi-horse bets, you'll hear them called. The exacta was the forerunner to all those. The exacta is horses who run first and second in the same race. Can you pick the winner and the second place finisher? Brian, when you look at the handle, which is the total amount of money bet on any horse race, win, place, show is the top, and exacta is always the second most. It's a very popular wager.
Yeah, and it's, it's sort of the next simplest wager where you just have to get those top 2 runners and you can see those probables if you're playing at home on your ADW. You can see what you're going to get for those exactas. So if it seems like we're running through a lot of these pretty quickly too, that's okay. We're going to have expanded episodes on all of these types of wagers as the season progresses here on Night School. But the exacta is basically then the precursor to your next 2, your trifecta and your superfecta. The trifecta that gets you down into that third place position, 50-cent minimum at most tracks, and then the superfecta 10-cent minimum gets you into that 4th position. Those are wagers that can really be dictated by the field size and the competitiveness of a field. Trifectas, superfectas, when you're starting to reach into that 3rd and 4th position, that's when you're looking for, 10, 11 horse turf races, because those are hard enough to hit in a 7, 8 horse field, so you might as well get paid in a big field if you're playing a tri or a super.
Yeah, larger field size, trifectas, the top 3 finishers, and superfectas, the top 4 finishers, definitely more in play there. If you're betting those kind of wagers, you're looking for something in the 100-1, 200-1 return on your investment because they are difficult wagers to hit. As far as the multi-race wagers go, there are ways to bet a horse like a parlay if you're into playing sports and professional teams, a parlay where you try to pick winners of two different games. A daily double is where you're trying to pick the winner of consecutive races. It used to be the first and second race on the card. Now most racetracks offer a daily double on any two consecutive races on the program. Daily doubles can be good wagers when you have a horse you like, especially in the first leg of the double, who's too short of a price to play to win. I don't like a horse, say he's 8-5. I don't want to bet him to win, but I don't want to bet against him because I think he's the winner of the race. Pairing him up into a daily double between multiple races can be a good way of doing that. And Brian, with daily doubles, you also get to see what the potential payouts are. They post those potential payouts before the races, so you know what you're getting into when you make a daily double wager.
And I think that that's really key because you can't necessarily see the price yet of the second leg, but you can do some math and kind of figure it out to get an idea of what that horse is going to offer based on the probable. The other thing I find daily double probables really helpful for is honestly when I'm starting a deeper multi-race wager, a pick 3, a pick 4. That's really where I play. The vast majority of my bankroll is in those pick 3s and pick 4s. And I like to look at the double probables at the start of a sequence as well, because I at least then can see in those multi-race pools, sure they're different pools, but in those multi-race pools, which horses are the players playing in the doubles? That can also help me see if I'm at least starting a pick 3 or a pick 4 that has some potential to give me back the payoff that I think I deserve on it.
Pick 3, you're picking the winner of 3 consecutive races. Pick 4, you're picking the winner of 4 consecutive races. You don't have to use just one horse in a multi-race bet. You could use multiple horses in each leg, and to figure out how much it would cost, you simply multiply the number of horses you have in each of the legs. So if you have 5 in the first leg, 5 in the second, and 5 in the third, it's 5 times 5 times 5, which would be 125. And if it's a 50-cent combination, then you would do half of 125 for your total. That would cost you, say, $62.50 to make such a wager. But you can work out multiple horses in different legs of each multi-race bet, and that gives fans, I think, a sense of spreading and having more coverage than just having one opinion. And I think that's one of the reasons why the pick 3s, pick 4s, and even pick 5s have become more popular in wagering, because they're a little bit of a safety net. They're difficult to hit, but mentally they're a safety net because people use multiple horses in each race, and it makes them feel like they have a better shot at hitting, Brian. But again, these are high-risk, high-return races because not everybody hits them, and the fewer people who hit in pari-mutuel wagering, the larger the returns.
Yeah, and this is we've talked a lot when we talk about these multi-race plays, these pick 4, pick 5s. If you're a conservative bettor, they're probably not where you want to be jumping in right away because you're going to go through a lot of losing streaks to get to the big scores in those types of wagers.
And the biggest wager of all in horse racing will be the pick 6. The pick 6 is kind of the granddaddy of the big multi-race wagers. You have to pick the winner of 6 consecutive races. At a lot of racetracks, the minimum on the pick 6 is $1 or $2, so it can get expensive. A lot of high rollers play in the pick 6 pool because they can afford to invest more or play in partnerships. Pick 6s aren't really recommended for the smaller bankroll players unless you just want to play a very small ticket and take a chance. The rainbow pick 6 is something that's become more popular, where it's a 10-cent or 20-cent minimum at some racetracks. You can get involved for a cheaper denomination, but unless only one ticket hits the entire pool, that carries over to the next day. So a rainbow pick 6 is a new twist in recent years that brings the smaller player into the mix a little bit more, but fewer of those life-changing scores like we see in the traditional $1 and $2 pick 6s. Hopefully that gives you a look at the wagering menu and how you may want to approach your day at the races. We're going to go to the Night School Vault next with 2012 National Horse Players Championship winner Michael Bachok and his thoughts on the big board of the betting menu. And after that, the First Lady of Night School, Caton Bredar.
Pick, bet, and cheer on live racing from Woodbine and Mohawk Park. Thoroughbred and harness action. The wagers are just the beginning. Watch award-winning broadcasts covering both breeds, incredible battles contested over the most unique grass course in North America. Experience the full fields with over 130 thoroughbred and 160 live harness days. Get access to free handicapping material and join the ranks of Woodbine and Mohawk Park players from all over the globe. For more information, visit woodbine.com.
Strategize, analyze, select. Join Keeneland Select to bet on racing from around the world on your computer, tablet, or smartphone, anytime, anywhere. Featuring the best rewards in racing, free past performances, live video, race replays, and more. Plus, Keeneland Select invests a portion of its profits back into the sport. Join Keeneland Select today and earn a $150 sign-up bonus at KeenelandSelect.com. Dedicated to the sport and dedicated to the players.
Some folks like to bet on the horses. Some like to bet on the games. Some folks like to bet on their phone. And some like to bet from their suite. So what's your best bet? All of the above. No matter how you like to bet, Remington Park is your best bet yet. With world-class horse racing, OKC's newest casino, and online suite booking now available. Remington Park, it's your best bet yet.
Racing fans, the road to the Kentucky Derby is in full swing, and ExpressBet's money back on the Preps offer is the best way to play all the top races this spring. Bet your horse to win in this year's biggest Preps, and ExpressBet will refund your money if you finish second or third. There's no smarter way to bet races like the ExpressBet Florida Derby, Santa Anita Derby, Arkansas Derby, and Wood Memorial. Plus, tournament players will love ExpressBet's spring contest schedule. ExpressBet has partnered with Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park to give seats to tournaments like the NHC, BCBC, and Pegasus Betting Championship. Learn more at expressbet.com/tournaments. Don't have an ExpressBet account yet? Sign up today with promo code XBRadio and get a $100 bonus when you bet your first $100. Remember, that's promo code XBRadio. Ready to play? The first Saturday in May is coming quickly, so visit expressbet.com to get started.
Must be 18 or older to open an account with ExpressBet LLC and reside in a state where such activity is legal. Void where prohibited. National Gambling Support Line 800-522-4700.
Welcome back to the show. Enjoy this classic night school clip from the vault.
But I guess the way I separate it is, I've got this imaginary bankroll for quote-unquote action, and then I have a really different level for when I have a very strong or a strong opinion. And in those situations, I will usually make just mostly win bets because I found that I'm just not very good at putting three races together. If I have a strong opinion on one, I don't know what that is about me or what my brain makeup is that way, but pick threes and pick fours are not my forte. And, you can go to twinspires.com actually has, a tool where you can go look up your entire bet history by bet, by track. And you can see in black and white, whether you're good at something or not good at something. So I know, for instance, what I am good at. And the funny thing is that I'm very good at pick fives and pick sixes. So I don't know, I have a positive ROI on both of those. I don't know what it is, but for instance, last week at Keeneland, I think it was last week at Keeneland, there was a Chris Block horse making a first start on the turf. He had been at Tampa. He had unbelievable turf breeding. I don't know what they were doing with the horse, but I really loved the horse. And I made the biggest bet that I've made on a horse this year. And he was a nice price. He was 5-1. But I didn't hit any of the multis around him, and it was like I probably just should have. I actually did. I split the money that I was going to bet to win and put half in multis and half to win. And, of course, hindsight's 20/20, but I really would have been much better off just betting that horse just to win at 5-1. That's a prime number for a horse, to bet to win.
Back to close out the show now with our visit from Caton Bredar. And Caton, Jeremy and I have gone over, just about the entire betting menu. And I think this is a chance for us to start to think a little bit of what that means when you put it into practice. Once you've kind of got that understanding of the betting menu top to bottom and what all of your options are, how do you keep those possibilities, let's say, of what pools you might jump into in your head as you go through handicapping a race? Or is it something you wait until the end? What's your way of getting from point A to point B once you know the betting menu and once you've picked your horses? Now, how do you make money on them?
Well, I'm going to admit to being like most bettors, which is easily swayed when there are the lures of guaranteed pools on certain wagers that are presented on weekends, for example, and big race days when you have some guarantees on pick fours, pick fives. Rainbow Sixes when there's a big jackpot and such. I'm like anybody else. I mean, that idea of playing for the big money is exciting and fun. And so I will certainly jump in on those. But I think the important thing is to not get carried away, for me at least, because I don't have a big enough bankroll that I can, blow it all for a pie in the sky idea of hitting something that maybe normally I wouldn't even be playing. So I will play them and they are attractive to me, but I don't think I try to make it so that it's not more attractive than what the normal wagering menu for me would be. But the big key is to make yourself aware of what's available, because I do think that particularly tracks that use rolling pick threes or pick fours throughout the day, where there is almost always, up until the last two races of the day, an opportunity to get involved in a multi-race sequence. That can be a great way of kind of leveraging races that are maybe not the best betting races against races that are. And so when you see a smaller field and you know where it's positioned in terms of those multi-race wagers and where they come up on the betting menu on a particular card, the more you can get involved and kind of leverage where you have your strongest opinions. So for me, the most important thing is to just be aware of what the menu is for any given day, and then which races are the races that I have the strongest opinions in. But I will say that I tend to stay away on the whole from the longer the sequence, the harder it is in my mind. For my playing, I may put together some very small tickets, but if we're talking serious wagers, I focus more on pick fours, because it's just more likely that if you can come up with a horse that you really like that is a price, it's a great way to maximize the opportunity to make money on that sequence. And I also think people sometimes underestimate or forget about the options of doubles to try to take advantage of a strong opinion, because you get so carried away with thinking about pick fours, pick fives, pick sixes. You forget about the idea that you only have to get two right. And if you're lucky enough that at least one of the two pays big, and even if the second race is one of the betting favorites but not the favorite, you could have a really nice score. And obviously they're a little easier to hit, the doubles versus the triples or the pick threes or the pick fours. So I tend to go smaller and less as far as the coverage is concerned. And that really is how I approach it as far as the betting menu is concerned, making yourself aware of all the possibilities and then figuring out how I can leverage my strong opinions, but also back myself up a little bit, because sometimes too, if you've handicapped brilliantly through a pick three or pick four, and then you miss the last leg, you might have, if you're aware of what the betting menu is and what the options are, have another opportunity to try to recoup in the event that you did lose. So almost cover yourself, so to speak. And I think that's a great opportunity as well with the multi-race wagering sequences.
Lots of different ways to bet on the races once you've finished handicapping them. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know where your strong opinions lie, and then figure out what on the betting menu allows you to attack those strong opinions with the biggest portion of your bankroll. Thank you, Caton, for joining us to close out the betting menu episode here of Season 9 of Night School. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking trainer angles. We'll look forward to speaking with you about that next Tuesday night. Good night.
On FAQ 60, 2-year-olds and debuts. A good handicapper can find an edge even if the past performances are blank. The keys for handicapping newcomers are pedigree, workouts, trainer intent, and visual clues. A good online pedigree resource can be most beneficial, though many track TV commentators do a good job highlighting bloodline information. Workouts from the starting gate are a crucial dress rehearsal for debut American quarter horses. Focus on those with the G next to the workout time in the program. Meanwhile, not every trainer is best at getting a horse ready to go for his first out. Some trainers need more time with a runner before hitting stride. And finally, Then watch the tote board and horses in the paddock for visual clues. This FAQ 60 is brought to you by AQHA Racing and Horse Player Now.
Enjoyed tonight's episode? Check out hundreds of past archives at horseplayernow.com.